Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. If you found us, really good chance you were searching, maybe for acupuncture, maybe for Chinese medicine insights, maybe for issues related to the thyroid, because we keyword code these podcasts with different words for you to find us. Last week, we talked about hyperthyroid. And this week, we're going to switch it around and talk about when the thyroid is underperforming, not overperforming. Believe it or not, as I've learned last week and I'm learning this week, that can be remedied, or at least you could feel a lot better through acupuncture. Who knew? Learning so much. She is the woman behind Kelly 121 Acupuncture in New York City. She is Dr. Kelly. She's back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Steve. How are you doing?
Eager to learn, because I had no idea that the thyroid can be addressed with acupuncture. So what is the term when your thyroid is underperforming?
It's called hypothyroidism. So HYPO. So before we talk about the HYPER, it's too much hormone. Now we are talking about the hypothyroidism, means the thyroid doesn't secrete enough hormone our body needs. So usually in Western medicine, they will give you hormone to replace, kind of like give you, so your body have enough hormone. But in Chinese medicine, we always have a different definition. But we have like a different pattern, we have different symptom, different cause, different herbal formula, different acupuncture point to help with, but it is pretty effective. We can talk about one of the pattern, for example.
Wow. Okay. So what are some of the symptoms of hypothyroidism?
Yes, so let's talk about one pattern. For example, if the pattern is qi and blood deficiency. So these kind of patients, usually their face kind of like have pale complexion, their face kind of like pale because they don't have enough qi and blood. Also, these kind of patients, they kind of like feel like a fatigue. Because they don't have enough qi to support them, give them enough energy. And also, this kind of patient, usually their skin or their hair is dry, and their nails is brittle, very easy to break. So if some people, you find your nails very easily to be broken, like you bump onto somewhere, then your nail just broken. And if you also have like dry skin, dry hair, or you may have like a swollen neck, like a goiter, you also have fatigue, you don't have enough energy. You may also have like cold limbs, like you always feel cold. You may have hypothyroidism. And also this group of people, they are easily to gain weight actually. So they look a little bit bigger, even they don't eat too much, but somehow they look a little bit bigger than the normal. So if you have everything, all the symptoms combined together, you may have hypothyroidism. Of course, usually in Western medicine, you need to go to, have a blood work. They will analyze the hormone and they will have a diagnosis you have hypothyroidism or not. But in Chinese medicine, we don't use the blood work or whatever. We just check the tongue, check the pulse, ask them some questions, then we will have a diagnosis, So that's how Chinese medicine works.
I'm intrigued how you can see these signs, Dr. Kelly, and deduce that it is a issue with the thyroid. This is not scientific, this question, just out of curiosity. Looking at somebody's story, the symptoms, nails breaking easy, everything you described there, the tongue, coloration, the pulse and all of that, Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely can determine it's an issue with the thyroid. Where do you think you sit with that? And again, not scientific. It can vary. Everybody's different. Um, these symptoms may present in other issues potentially, but where do you think, scale 10 being you could look at somebody, hear all of that, yep, hypothyroid issue. Where do you think?
It's pretty accurate actually. Some patients came to me, they didn't mention even about they have, thyroid problem. But when I, talk to them, check their tongue, check their pulse, and I notice, you know, like for example, the goiter, for example, cold name, for example, they have fatigue, and their face is pale. Their of course their tongue gonna be pale too, right? Their pulse gonna be deep and weak.
Hmm.
So yeah, and if plus they have all the same breaking nails, dry skin, for younger people, you have dry skin, dry hair, that's not normal. Usually that's it pretty accurate. Then I will ask, do you have a hypothyroidism? They are like, yes, Dr. Kelly, I was diagnosed like 5 years ago or something. I'm, you know, taking this hormone. So it's pretty accurate actually.
Wow. Well, you know what? I shouldn't be surprised because this is how they practice medicine hundreds, thousands years ago. This was it. You didn't go for a lab. You didn't go to a, traditional Western doctor. This was the medicine. Amazing. So we talked last week about hyperthyroid challenges. Is the is the remedy through acupuncture basically the same where you insert the needles, all of that? Is it pretty much the same?
No, no, for sure it's different. For example, for hyperthyroidism, usually people like they are, again, there are different pattern, right? Even same hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism, like have a different pattern. So there the points gonna be different. For the hyperthyroidism, we may need to like clear some heat, right? But for the hypothyroid, people always feel cold. We need to warm them up. So in that way, there are gonna be different points, right? One need to tonify, one need to, you know, uh, we call them uh, we need to like kind of like sediment. We need to not the opposite of tonify, right? We need to clear some heat. We need to uh, dissipate some, transform some phlegm. So like for the hypothyroid, we may need to tonify the kidney because one of the pattern is kidney yang deficiency.
Mm.
So in this way, the point is gonna be different. Some gonna have a kidney point, some gonna have a large intestine point. So different pattern, we're gonna have different points. And herbal formula for sure, they're gonna be different. Like for example, for people who have the liver qi stagnation, you know, um, have phlegm retention, we may have like a 海藻玉糊汤, which is a very good formula to transform phlegm. And for people who have kidney yang deficiency, we may have 金匮肾气丸, which is a very good formula to tonify the kidney, especially kidney yang, to warm them up. So gonna be totally different procedure, different points, different herbal formula.
Wow. Just amazing how this works. Um, what can be expected after a treatment? How long can somebody feel some changes, relief, nails grow better, hair is not as brittle, all of those? What's a reasonable expectation?
I would say let's give three treatments, but some people may feel better even after one or two. Um, some people but in general, I think patients feel better after the most is three treatment. They already feel better, their sleep getting better, their hands getting better, like much warmer than before. Before their cold hand, cold feet. Like even the tongue, because every time when patient come in, I take a picture of the tongue, and the patient's tongue change. Like even the patient notice it. They said Dr. Kelly, I even noticed by myself. I look at my tongue in the mirror, like before it was pale. Now it's got like more blood. It's much more redder, has a reddish color now. It's not so pale anymore. And also the edge of the tongue, it used to have like big teeth mark. Now it's not so much. So
Wow.
even patients notice it.
Wow. I have to tell you, last night got home and it was time for bed, and I'm about to lay down, and I'm laying there, and the air conditioning is on, and I'm thinking it just feels cold. Like I don't need it to be that cold, and it was actually set at like 74, and I'm like, I feel like a chill. And I remember back to what you said. All of this, keeping you cold, air conditioning, cold drinks, all of that, not good for our bodies. I got up, I raised the temperature up. Um, I just feel like it's I don't need to be cold. Hot drink, love it. It's all good. Not to say that, occasionally, you might get a cold drink. They serve it to you cold. It is what it is. But it's more on my radar. That being said, uh, the what we put our bodies through in terms of cold, how impactful is that in terms of our health?
It's very impactful actually. I have a young guy who is 23. He's 23 years old. Usually younger people, they prefer cold drinks even more than, other people. He had been drinking cold drinks since he was little. But after he started seeing me, I told him about the cold drink is not good for the health. I said, look at your tongue, right? It's pale, had a teeth mark, and also some area of his tongue have the kind of like have a ridge, so kind of like raise up. I said that is a sign you have phlegm accumulate in your body. But where the phlegm from? Your spleen deficient. How your spleen get deficient? Could be from the cold drink, right? You damage the spleen. Your spleen cannot transform, the nutrient you are taking. Then you have some phlegm accumulating in your body, showing on your tongue. So if you want your health getting better, please switch to warm drinks instead of drinking cold water or cold drinks. He listened. I'm so happy he listened. You know, young people usually don't listen, but he listened. He said, Dr. Kelly, now I have a thermos in my hand. I go around, he's a Columbia student. I go around in my campus. I go to where the machine had warm water. I don't
Wow.
just go to where, had cold water. He said after, like after he talking to me, just like several days, he came back, his tongue changed. He's very happy. I'm very happy. He said, I never thought the cold drinks can damage our body so much. I said, let's, just because first, maybe nobody told you before. Second, it's kind of like norm. Everyone drinking cold drinks. So you would think, oh, just cold drink is normal. I
Hmm.
said, oh, it's not normal. It's bad, actually. He listened, his body change. He's very happy. So that's
Wow.
why it never be too much to saying don't drink cold drinks. And I know a lot of people, it's so hard for them to change, especially young people. I said the reason why they don't listen is because they haven't got sick enough yet. Basically, you haven't bumped onto the wall too much. You didn't get hurt enough. You're not listening. One day when you're sick, you will.
Wow. Um, Room temperature is okay.
I would say a little bit above room temperature is even better. But if you cannot, because not everywhere you can get warm water, right? If you cannot, room temperature is better than the cold
Sure.
water.
Sure. Well, we're programmed. We're so used to it. You go to a restaurant, they put ice in the drink. And there was a point in time a few years ago where restaurants stopped doing that. They stopped, a lot of them stopped putting ice in drinks. Um, I don't know if it was a request. I don't know if it was something dealing with COVID or whatever it might be. And people complained about it. So now the ice goes back in the drink and it's almost expected. I've gotten drinks where the entire glass is ice and now you're paying for the drink. Let's say you're just having a cocktail, one, just having fun, whatever, have one drink. Um, I've actually said, can you please remove the ice? Okay, take some of it out. We are programmed, but also we don't know. We don't know who would ever think having cold beverages would negatively impact your health. I would have not thought that. I would think that it's the opposite, especially on a hot day. Oh, gotta cool down, have that cold drink. Um, and as you've said before, it's okay to have it occasionally. It's hot out, you want to refresh yourself, whatever it may be. But if you do it on a regular basis, many people, now that we have ice machines and refrigerators at home, what do we do? We think we're treating ourselves. Hey, I've got the ice maker. I have a friend that just got a new refrigerator. It makes craft ice, round balls of ice that go in your drink. Now that I know, I stay away from it, and even with the air conditioning, I don't want cold air blowing on me. I don't find it. I like being warm. I really do. Like it, and most people would say 74 degrees. Oh my gosh, it's hot. No, that was actually cold for me. Shut it off. And um, what about a fan going? I know we're going a little bit deeper in this, but it seems like it's really important in terms of our health. Sleeping with a fan circulating. Same thing as cold air, not air conditioning, but it's still cold.
Well, the point is the fan is not as cold as the AC,
Correct.
but still it is wind. So in Chinese medicine, wind actually is one of the six we call the evil qi can make people sick. So wind is one of it. Coldness, the heat. So wind is, to be honest, wind can really make people sick. And wind can also make people have like stroke or Bell's palsy. Um, you would think wind is not that much, but when you sleep, you had better don't have the fan blow on you. If you just, far away, not directly blow on you, could be okay if not too much. But if you have a fan blow on you directly, that's definitely not good for you.
Wow. Well, I guess if you look at it this way, wind, fan blowing on you while you're trying to sleep is like room temperature water. It's not as bad as ice, in that if you kind of compare it that way, and not as bad as air conditioning, but it's still, something that you would avoid. You said there's six um,
Yes.
evil things related to chi.
Yeah. So, when people get sick, for example, common cold, right?
Sure.
What's the cause of common cold? Cold. That's one of the six evil qi. Cold. And also like heat also actually is not good. For example, summer heat. When I talk about a lot of things about we try to avoid cold, right?
Sure.
But hot is not also not good either. Like for example, summer heat, right? When you go out in the summer, it's too hot. That can also give people sickness also, right? Cold, summer heat, dryness. Like for example, if it's very dry, like in Arizona or something, you don't have any water, that's also bad. That also can make people have sickness like coughing, right? Like lung, like when the lung is very dry, you cough. Like usually in the fall,
Mm.
that actually lets a lot of people have the coughing come out because it's too dry, right? So we have the cold, we have the summer heat, we have the dryness, we have the wind, right? Um, so that is 风寒 cold, 暑 summer heat, dampness.
Mm.
Dampness another evil qi. Like if it's very humid, people can get sick also. Like Seattle, like I think over
Sure.
there it's kind of raining, cloudy all the time. Um, I guess there some people have the dampness in their body, so they feel heavy, fatigue, you know. So dampness is another evil qi. So 风寒暑 湿燥火 火 is like fire. Basically, fire a little bit kind of like heat, right? If it's too hot, that's also not good. So that's the 6 evil qi.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
so from that you can tell Chinese medicine always like to be like kind of like in the middle,
Right.
not cold, not too hot, not too damp, not too dry, right? Everything is in the middle, balance. That's the key of Chinese medicine. Like we talk about, we don't like cold, but we don't like hot either. So middle, that is the best. Balance, that is the best.
Hmm. Well, I mean, with the balance, the yin and the yang, and that's kind of what
Yeah,
we're talking about there. Um, so it's not to say that you can't use air conditioning because if it's hot out, you don't want to be too hot, but you don't want it to be too cold. So just, I guess, raise the temperature up. And even on, the dryness thing, what's air conditioning? It's forced cold air, which is going to make your air typically dry. So you're introducing dry air. During the winter, I have hot air heat. I have a humidifier I keep next to my bed because I find it's just too dry, and I put that on occasionally just to add a little bit of moisture in the air. Um, $30 on Amazon, I sleep so much better. But to your point, you just, trying to strike that delicate balance. Final question, based on what you said before, with the student that came in drinking the cold beverages, you said accumulation of mucus, and I believe you said connected to the spleen. Did I hear that right?
you're right, Steve. Yes. So when people have a lot of phlegm, right? Like I have another patient. He's a little older, but still on the 20 something age range.
Hmm.
So when I check his tongue also have somewhere rigid up. So I said, "Do you have phlegm?" He said, "Yes." And he said, "Every time after I eat, I have phlegm. But my wife, she doesn't. But I have phlegm. Why?" So I explained to him. I said, "Do you drink cold drink?" He said, "Yes." I said, "So that's why. Because the cold drink damages your spleen. Your spleen cannot function very well. Then when your spleen cannot function very well, cannot really transform the food, the drinks you're taking in, you have phlegm accumulating in your body. So then it showed up on your tongue. It showed up after you eat, you have phlegm, you have to, get it out. So that is the explanation about why cold drinks or cold whatever, cold food damage the spleen because let the spleen to function to transform. But when you damage your spleen cannot transform anymore. Then you have the phlegm accumulating in your body.
Wow. I never even connected that. And by the way, I would think that because I've dealt with it, excess, phlegm, mucus after eating, I always thought that that was just your esophagus coating because you might have reflux, and that's how it protects itself by secreting more mucus after you eat. Never knew it could be connected to the spleen. Never even thought that. Wow. Learning a lot today, Dr. Kelly. How do we find you? Obviously, if it's acupuncture, it's got to be in New York City in your office. The other things we're talking about here, consultation for herbal medicine, Chinese medicine, everything else can be done virtually. What's the best way to find you?
They can find me on my website www.kelly121acupuncture.com, or they can call me 347-885-1865.
Thank you for all the insight. There's a reason that Chinese medicine has been around for centuries, so many years, and it's still in practice today, keeping people healthy. Appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.